Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Greeting to everyone. Dear researchers and students, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to learn regression analysis, which is one of the most important concepts of quantitative data analysis. In previous video, we learned what is correlation analysis. Correlation analysis describes relationship between the variables. But if you want to learn the causal relationship between the variables, you have to conduct regression analysis. If you want to see the effect of independent variable on dependent variable, if you want to see the effect of one variable on another variable, you have to conduct regression analysis, right? And when you come to know the effect of independent variable on dependent variable, you also need to check whether that impact or effect is statistically significant or not. So you also need to determine the statistical significance of that effect. And once you have decided about the statistical significance of the effect of the variable, you can also determine the acceptance or rejection of the null hypothesis, which you have already generated while conducting literature review. And the last one, you can also determine the goodness of fit of the model. What is the uh, influential power of the independent variables while bringing change in the dependent variable? How much change is basically caused by the independent variables in the dependent variable is basically determined by the goodness of the fit. Let me give you the example. For example, we already know about these variables. We have job enrichment, perceived equity, burnout. These are independent variables. Job satisfaction is a mediating variable. Intention to leave is the dependent variable. And based upon the literature review, we have generated these four hypotheses. And after collecting the relevant data through the questionnaire, this regression analysis is basically generated. So this is the first table where you can see the dependent variable is job satisfaction. And these are the three independent variable: perceived equity, burnout, job enrichment. Model fit is 0.172 and constant is given. Second column is the beta coefficient. Third column is the p-value. So this is a very summarized table. Although when you conduct regression analysis, so a lot of other statistical values are also given. But the most relevant one, which we want to see, is what is the impact of these independent variables on a dependent variable, right? So impact of one variable on another variable is shown in beta coefficient. So this value basically shows the effect of one variable on the dependent variable. For example, perceived equity has a beta coefficient of 0.343. Since this beta coefficient is positive, this means perceived equity has positive impact on dependent variable, that is job satisfaction. So there is a positive impact. And next explanation is that since perceived equity has positive impact on dependent variable, job satisfaction, so that means if perceived equity increases by 1 unit, the job satisfaction, which is the dependent variable, will also increase but with the value of 0.343. So this is the explanation of the effect of perceived equity on job satisfaction. After that, we also need to determine the statistical significance of the result, whether this result is statistically acceptable or not. So for this, we need to analyze this value, p-value. It's a probability value of the significance. So we have to compare this probability value with the significance level which we have to choose earlier. For example, uh, generally in research, we take three uh, significance levels. First one is 10%, that is 0.1. If this p-value is less than 0.1, so we say that the effect of perceived equity on job satisfaction is statistically significant at 10% significance level. Another example, if we choose significance level of 5%, that means this result is statistically significant at 5% because this p-value 0.001 is less than 0.05. If we choose significance level of 1%, since this p-value is less than 1%, that is 0.01, so we will say that this result is statistically significant at 1% level. So we need to determine at least two things: effect of the variable, and then whether this effect is statistically significant or not. So same, let's say burnout. The beta coefficient of burnout is negative 0.454. It means burnout has negative impact on job satisfaction. And that negative impact means if burnout increases by 1 unit, job satisfaction will decrease by 0.454 units. And unit means it can be taken as the absolute value as it is, or it can be interpreted in the form of the percentages or any other standardized value. And look at this p-value 0.0001. Since this p-value is less than 10% significance level, so result is statistically significant at 10%. This value is also less than 0.05. So our result is statistically significant at 5%. And this value is also less than 0.01, that is 1%. So we will say that this effect is statistically significant at 1%. Right? So we can interpret any table of regression analysis by picking up the beta coefficient to determine the effect of the variable. And by looking at the p-value, we can also interpret the statistical significance of the result. Next thing, model fit. If you look at the 0.172, so we will say that all these three independent variables have 0.172. That means 17.2% influential power to bring change in the dependent variable, that is job satisfaction. In another way, job satisfaction is caused, change in job satisfaction is caused by these three variables with effect of 17.2%. In other way, you can say that independent variables collectively bring 17.2% change in job satisfaction. right? Like another table where the dependent variable is intention to leave, you can interpret it in the same way. Perceived equity has negative impact because its beta coefficient is negative. So it has negative impact on intention to leave. Like if perceived equity increases, the intention to leave will decrease. The result is also statistically significant at all significance levels. Right? So in this way, we can explain the effect of each variable on the dependent variable. Let me tell you about the constant value. The constant value is 4.094 in this model. That means if the value of all these three independent variables becomes 0, then the value of the intention to leave will be 4.094. If the value of all three independent variables becomes 0, then the value which intention to leave dependent variable will have, that is the constant value, that is 4.094. This constant value is also called the intercept value, right? And model fit is 0.264. That means 26.4% change in intention to leave is because of the independent variable. So in this way, we can explain any kind of regression tables to demonstrate the impact of independent variable on the dependent variable and its significance effect, statistical significance. Although in detailed analysis of regression analysis, we have to see some other statistical aspects, but at the basic level, we need to explain at least these three things: whether the uh, whether the effect of independent variable on dependent variable is positive or negative, and the next one is what is the significant status of the effect, and third one is the model fitness, right? So I hope you get the understanding, the basic understanding of the regression analysis. In another video, inshallah, I will explain how to conduct these analysis. So up till now, thank you so much. God bless you.